All right, part 3. Perseus just swore on the river Styx that he would bring Polydectes, the head of Medusa, and he doesn't know how he is exactly going to do that. So, we're going to pick up where we left off. After fleeing the palace, Perseus ran to the cliffs overlooking the sea. He stood at the edge and tried not to cry. The night sky was covered in clouds, as if even Zeus was ashamed to look at him. "Dad," Perseus said, "I've never asked you for anything. I've never complained. I've always made the right sacrifices and tried to be a good son to my mom. Now I've messed up. I opened my big mouth and made an impossible promise. I'm not asking you to solve my problem for me, but please, I'd really appreciate some guidance. How do I get out of this?" At his shoulder, a voice said, "What a nice prayer." Perseus jumped, barely avoiding a fall off the cliff. Standing next to him was a 20-ish looking guy with an impish smile, curly brown hair, and a strange cap with a brim only in the front. The man's clothes were odd too: brown leggings, a close-fitting brown shirt, with laced black boots, like a combination of boots and sandals. On his left breast of his shirt was sewn a pocket, and cleverly stitched above that were letters that didn't look Greek. UPS. Perseus figured the guy must be a god, because no mortal would dress that dorky. "Are you my father Zeus?" The newcomer chuckled. "Buddy, I'm not old enough to be your dad. Seriously, do I look like a day over 1,000? I'm Hermes, the god of messengers and travelers. Zeus sent me to help you out." "That was fast. I pride myself on quick service. What are those symbols on your shirt?" "Oh," Hermes looked down. "What century is it?" "Sorry, I get confused sometimes." He snapped his fingers. His clothes changed to something more normal: a wide-brimmed hat like travelers wear to keep off the sun, a white tunic cinched at the waist, and a wool robe across the shoulders. "Now, where was I?" "Right. Zeus heard your prayer and sent me with some cool magic items to aid you on your quest." Hermes snapped his fingers again. He proudly held up a leather bag the size of a backpack. "It's a sack," Perseus noted. "I know. After you cut off the head of Medusa, you can put it in here." "Wow, thanks. Also," Hermes reached into the sack and pulled out a simple bronze helmet, just a skull cap, like the king's foot soldiers wore. "This little baby will turn you invisible." "Seriously?" Perseus took the cap and looked inside. "Why is it inscribed 'Made in Bangladesh'?" "Oh, never mind that," Hermes said. "It's an unauthorized reproduction of Hades' helmet of darkness, but it works great, I promise." Perseus put on this cheap Bangladeshi knockoff helmet. Suddenly he couldn't see his own body. "That's cool, right? Okay, take off the helmet, because I got something else for you. I had these made special." From his leather sack of fabulous prizes, Hermes pulled a pair of sandals. Tiny dove wings sprouted from the heels. As the god dangles the shoes from their laces, they flapped around, straining for freedom like birds on leashes. "I use a pair of these myself," Hermes said. "Put them on and you can fly, much faster than walking or swimming to Medusa, and since you'll be invisible, you won't have to log a flight plan or anything." Perseus's heart beat as fast as the dove's wings. Ever since he was little, he wanted to fly. He tried on the sandals and instantly shot into the sky. "Yeah!" he whooped with joy. "This is awesome!" "Okay, kid," Hermes yelled at the tiny dots zipping in and out of the clouds. "You can come down now." Perseus landed, and Hermes explained what would happen next. "First, you got to find these 3 old ladies called the Grey Sisters." "Why are they called that?" "Because they're gray. Also, they're ugly and immortal, and if they get the chance, they'll cut you up and barbecue you." "So why do I want to find them?" "They know the locations of Medusa's secret lair. Even I don't have that information. Plus, they have a couple of extra items that'll help you with your quest." "What items?" Hermes frowned. From his pocket he pulled a piece of paper and read it. "I don't know. They're not listed on the manifest. But I got this info from Athena, and she usually knows what she's talking about. Just start flying due east. After 2 days, you'll see the island of the Grey Sisters. Can't miss it. It's, gray." "Thank you, Hermes." Perseus was so grateful he tried to give Hermes a hug. The god pulled away. "Okay, kid, let's not get excited. Good luck, and try not to run into any mountains, yeah?" Hermes disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Perseus launched himself in the air, flying east as fast as his ankle-mounted dove wings would carry him. The island of the Grey Sisters was definitely gray. A big gray mountain rose from the gray forest. Blanketed in ash-colored fog, slate cliffs dropped into a churning gray sea. This must be the place, Perseus thought, because he was smart like that. He put on his invisibility cap and descended toward a line of smoke rising from trees, like someone had a campfire going. In a dreary clearing next to a scum-green lake, 3 old ladies sat around a fire. They were dressed in gray rags. Their hair looked like dirty straw. On a spit over the fire was a big hunk of sizzling meat, and Perseus really did not want to know where that meat had come from. As he got closer, he heard the woman arguing. "Give me the eye," one yelled. "Give me the tooth, and I'll think about it," the second one said. "It's my turn," wailed the third. "You took the eye when I was in the middle of the last season of The Walking Dead. You can't do that." Perseus edged closer. The old ladies' faces were withered and sagging like melted masks. Their eye sockets were empty, except for the middle sister, ugly number 2, who had one green eye. The sister on the right, ugly number 1, was enjoying a chunk of mystery meat, ripping off pieces with her single mossy incisor. The other two sisters seemed to have no teeth at all. They slurped unhappily from cups of Dannon non-fat Greek yogurt. Ugly number 1 popped another piece of meat in her mouth and chewed it with relish. I mean, with pleasure. She didn't actually have any relish. "Fine," she said. "I'm done eating anyway. I'll trade you for the eye." "That's not fair," said ugly 3. "It's my turn. I don't have anything." "Shut up and eat your yogurt," said ugly number 1. She yanked the tooth out of her mouth. Ugly number 2 put her hand over her eye and forced a sneeze. The eyeball popped out of her palm. Perseus tried not to puke. "Ready?" asked ugly 1. "We'll toss them on the count of 3, and no funny business." Perseus realized this was his chance to do something sneaky and very disgusting. He crept forward. "1," said ugly number 1. "2." As the gray lady yelled 3, Perseus stepped up. All his training at the temple of Athena and his hours playing Call of Duty must have really improved his hand-eye coordination, because he snatched the eye and the tooth right out of the air. The gray ladies kept their hands out, ready to catch the other traded body upgrades. "What happened?" asked ugly number 1. "You didn't throw." "I threw the eyeball," ugly number 2 said. "You didn't throw the tooth." "I did so," shrieked ugly number 1. "Somebody else must have taken it." "Well, don't look at me," said ugly number 3. "I can't," screamed ugly number 1. "I don't have an eye." "I have it," Perseus interjected. The gray sisters fell silent. "And your tooth," he added. All 3 ladies whipped out knives from under their rags and lunged toward the sound of his voice. Perseus stumbled back, barely avoiding becoming mystery meat on a spit. Note to self, he thought, invisibility doesn't work on blind people. Uglies 1 and number 2 knocked heads, fell down, and started wrestling. Ugly number 3 tripped onto the cooking fire and rolled out, shrieking, trying to smother her burning clothes. Perseus circled the perimeter of the camp. "If you want your eye and tooth back, you better behave yourselves." "They're our property," wailed ugly number 1. "They're our precious," cried ugly number 2. "Wrong story, you idiot," snapped ugly number 2. The 3 sisters got to their feet. They looked creepy in the firelight, shadows dancing across their hollow eye sockets, knife blades glinting red. Perseus stepped on a twig. The sisters all turned toward him, hissing like cats. Perseus tried to steady his nerves. "Attack me again," he warned, "and I'll squish your eye right now." He gave this slimy orb a gentle squeeze. The gray sisters shrieked, clawing their empty sockets. "All right," wailed ugly number 1. "What do you want?" "First, directions to the lair of Medusa." Ugly number 3 made the sound like a rat being stepped on. "We can't tell you that. We promised to guard the Gorgon's secret." "And to guard the weapons of the prophecy," added ugly number 2. "Right," Perseus said. "I'll also need those weapons of the prophecy." The sisters wailed some more and slapped one another upside the head. "We can't give you the weapons," said ugly number 3. "The Gorgons are counting on us. They'll hunt us down and kill us." "I thought you were immortal," Perseus said. "Well, true," number 1 conceded. "But you don't know the Gorgons. They'll torture us and call us bad names, and—" "If you don't help me," Perseus said, "no tooth and no eye ever again." He squeezed the eyeball a little harder. "All right," ugly number 1 relented. "Give us the tooth and the eye and we'll help you." "Help me first," Perseus said, "and I'll promise I'll release your eye and the tooth immediately," which was an easy promise to make because those things were disgusting. "The cave of the Gorgons lies to the east," said ugly number 2. "Another 3 days as the crow flies. When you reach the mainland, you will see a high cliff rising from the sea. The cave is right in the middle, 500 feet up. A tiny ledge is the only approach. You will know the place. Just look for the statues." "The statues?" Perseus repeated. "Yes," said ugly number 3. "Now give us our property." "Not so fast," Perseus said. "What about those weapons you mentioned?" Ugly number 3 howled in frustration. She lunged at Perseus. He dodged easily, and she ran face first into a tree. "Ow!" "The weapons?" Perseus asked again, applying more pressure to the community eyeball. Fine, ugly number one cried. A mile south of here is a huge dead oak tree. The weapons are buried between the two largest roots. But don't tell Medusa we gave them to you. I won't, Perseus promised. I'll be too busy killing her. The eye, said ugly number two. The tooth. Yep. Perseus threw them both into the scum-green lake. I promised I'd release them immediately, but I can't have you following me for revenge. You better start diving before some fish decides that eyeball looks tasty. The Grey Sisters screamed and hobbled blindly toward the water. They dove in like a pack of raggedy walruses. Perseus wiped his hands on his shirt. Eyeball slime. Gross. He started up his sandals and flew east through the forest. He found the dead oak tree with no problem. Perseus dug between the two biggest roots and unearthed something like a manhole cover wrapped in a leather blanket. He unwrapped the oiled leather and was immediately blinded by the shininess of a round bronze shield. Its surface was polished like a mirror. Even in the gloomy forest, it reflected enough light to cause a traffic accident. Perseus peered into the hole he dug. There was something else down there, something long and narrow, also swathed in oiled leather. He pulled it out and unwrapped a sweet-looking sword, black leather scabbard, bronze, leather hilt. He unsheathed it and grinned. The blade was perfectly weighted. The edge looked razor-sharp. He swung it at a thick oak branch, just to be sure. The blade went through the branch, then through the trunk, cutting the whole tree in half like it was made of Play-Doh. If you'd seen a demonstration like that on Demigod Shopping Network, you totally would have ordered the sword for $19.99, plus shipping and handling. Oh yeah, said Perseus, this'll work. Be careful with that, said a woman's voice. Perseus spun and nearly decapitated the goddess Athena. He recognized her right away. He's grown up in her temple with its many Athena statues, banners, coffee mugs, and drink coasters. She wore a long white sleeveless dress. A tall war helmet crowned her long black hair. In her hands she held a spear and a rectangular shield, both glowing with magic, and her face was beautiful, but a little scary, the way a warrior goddess should look. Her storm-gray eyes, unlike the other gray stuff on this island, were bright and full of fierce energy. Athena! Perseus knelt and lowered his head. Sorry about almost cutting your head off. It's cool, said the goddess. Rise, my hero. Perseus got up. His sandals, little dove wings, fluttered nervously around his ankles. Are these weapons for me? I hope so, Athena said. I put the sword and the shield here knowing that someday a great hero would come along, someone worthy of ending Medusa's curse. I hope you are that hero. I think Medusa has suffered long enough, don't you? So you mean... Wait, I'm confused. You're going to change her back to human? No, I'm going to let you chop her head off. Oh, that's fair. Yes, I thought so. Here's the deal. You will sneak into the Gorgon's cave during the day while they're asleep. That sword is sharp enough to cut through Medusa's neck, which is as thick as an elephant's hide. And the shield? Perseus' eyes lit up. Oh, I get it. I use it like a mirror. I can look at Medusa's reflection rather than looking at her directly so she can't turn me to stone. Athena smiled. Very good. You have learned some wisdom in my temple. And also from playing God of War, Perseus said. There's this one level... Whatever, the goddess said. Be careful, Perseus. Even after Medusa is dead, her face will still have the power to petrify mortals. Keep it safely in that leather sack, and don't show it to anyone unless you want them to turn into solid marble. Perseus nodded, mentally storing away that safety tip. What about Medusa's sisters, the two other Gorgons? I wouldn't worry too much about them. They're sound sleepers. If you're lucky, you'll be out of there before they wake up. Besides, you can't kill them even if you tried. Unlike Medusa, the other two Gorgons are immortal. Why is that? Heck, I don't know. Just roll with it. The point is, if they wake up, get out of there. Fast. And Perseus must have looked pretty terrified. Athena raised her arms in blessing. You can do this, Perseus. Bring honor to me and Hermes and our father Zeus. Your name will live forever. Just don't screw up. Thank you, great goddess. Perseus was so overwhelmed. He tried to give Athena a big hug, but she backed away. Whoa there, big boy. No touchy, the goddess. Sorry, You're welcome. Now get going. Good hunting, Perseus. The goddess disappeared in a shimmer of light. In the distance, Perseus heard the Grey Sisters screaming something about murder, and he decided it was time to leave.